Alright, I am a lucky man. My wife just turned 46 yesterday, and no BS, she looks at least 10 years younger than what she really is. It's all natural, no surgery or nothing like that. I'm just very blessed. Also blessed that it's one of the few days of the year where you can run without air conditioning in Texas and not be sweating. If you remember a while back, I got that Xtool A30 scan tool, and you know, I stand behind saying that that was the best scan tool that I had had to date, because I mean, it, unlike a normal scan tool, it actually did stuff rather than just, you know, read codes and erase codes, that sort of thing. Having the bidirectional control to do things like ABS bleeds and stuff. So it worked really well at that stuff. There were a few issues that we couldn't get sorted out. But I will say this, the customer service with them has been fantastic. I mean, they could have told me to pound sand and, you know, I might have been out of luck, but instead they have worked with me. They've done custom updates, they've done everything they can to make it right, and they finally decided that for me and what I'm needing, that I needed the D7 model, which is a higher model. So they have allowed me to return the A30, give me my money back on that, and then give me a sweet deal on buying the D7 to where it was a no-brainer to do it. So I've been using the D7, and you may have seen it, I don't know when this video will be released, but you may have seen it in some videos that have come out before this one, or you may see it in videos that come out after it, but it's basically the red tablet. I like it better. It's got a little bit more features, but they're actually pretty cool features. One of which is it has an odometer fix feature, and of course, you know, it says warning, you're not doing this, to roll back your odometer, that sort of thing. But one of the reasons why the A30 wasn't working for me was when I plugged it into my Chevy Avalanche, it reset the odometer to 0. I didn't try to do that. It was obviously some weird glitch that just happened, but it reset my entire odometer back to 0, everything on it. Business miles, personal miles, trip, miles per gallon, you know, everything on it that it kept track of was reset to 0. And we couldn't figure out why. I mean, we worked and worked and worked. Thankfully, I didn't need to drive the Avalanche, so it's been parked. But the D7 is supposed to fix that. Now, we've had a couple hiccups trying to fix it, so it's still a work in progress. But that's one of the things I'll be doing today, is seeing if the latest patch they sent me will fix the odometer. And it's really an amazing thing that it reset itself when I had just written down the odometer reading, because I had just changed the brake pads. So I actually have the correct odometer reading. I've driven it almost a mile just around the shop, you know, testing various things out since then. But so when I reset the odometer, it'll be +1 from what I had. And the other thing is, since it has the factory ABS bleeding like the ForeScan tool does, I just find it a little bit more convenient to use the scan tool than to use ForeScan, because with ForeScan I got to hook up the laptop and all that, and with the scan tool obviously just plug it in and go. But it's the exact same as the ForeScan brake bleed, so I'm not losing any functionality. In fact, it actually is a little bit better than the 4Scan one because it shows you like the time remaining on the, you know, each wheel, so you kind of get a feel for it better. So it's no secret that both of my Crown Vic brake pedals, like, the car stopped fine when I'm driving. I mean, you know, I haven't had a panic stop, thankfully, but I think even if I did, it would still stop great. But once the car is stopped, or when I first start the car up and put it in park, or if I put it in park, you know, after driving, then and only then I can push the pedal all the way to the floor. So like when I'm driving right now, if I go to stop, it'll stop. It's not going to go to the floor. Once I'm stopped completely, then I can push it to the floor. Now, obviously the first thought is always that you have air somewhere in your brake system. So I've bled and bled and bled, and I've done some ABS bleeds, and I just suspect that I haven't had the right sequence of things done correctly to get that air out. And so I'm going to try yet again another ABS bleed with the scan tool and see if I can get that air out. I think I figured it out that you really need the bleeder valve open, you know, a decent amount. I don't know if it's a half a turn, a full turn, but it needs to be open more probably than what I've had. And then when the ABS bleed starts, I need to really push the pedal hard and force a lot of fluid out quickly. And what I noticed with my learning process of all of this, when I did it on the Silver Vic, I got a bunch of air out at first, but of course I can't see it because I'm inside pumping the pedal. But I'm watching the scan tool and it's counting down from 75 seconds, and it says, you know, press the brake. It says in 2-second intervals. That's all it says. So I'm thinking that means once every 2 seconds for 75 seconds. So basically, you know, more than 30 presses of the pedal. So like the first couple presses that I did were soft, and then it firmed up, and I should have stopped. But I didn't, because like I said, it was counting down from 75, and I thought, well, there must be a reason why they want it to go so long. So I kept pressing, and then all of a sudden the pedal just boom, right to the floor. And I was like, what happened? Well, you know what happened. I ran the master cylinder completely empty and just sucked a bunch of air back into the system. So now it's full of air again. So I did another bleed on it, you know, after filling it up again. Got it back to basically where it was before I started this. So anyway, I think if I do an ABS bleed and get 2 or 3 or 4 really good presses, that I'll get that air out. And then once I feel the pedal firm up, I'm going to stop, even if there's, you know, 60 seconds remaining on the bleed. I'm going to go ahead and stop, and once I'm done, see what happens. Obviously, the other things that could be wrong is you could have a bad master cylinder, you could have a leak of some sort, you know, brake booster or whatever. I don't think it's any of those things, because one, I replaced the master cylinder on this 2010 and it didn't change anything at all. And I've run all the different tests that people suggest, you know, like pressing your brake pedal with the engine off and seeing what happens, and then starting the car with the brake pedal held and seeing what happens. And all of those tests are fine. They all pass with flying colors. So I really think I just have air in the system, and I think it's just, whether it's a Ford ABS problem or whether it's all ABSs that do it, it just seems like the air gets trapped in there and it messes with your brake pedal. So it doesn't mess it up as far as normal driving, but you have that sponginess when it's stopped, at least in my case, and every Crown Vic that I have checked out personally has had the exact same pedal. When it's in park, right to the floor. So that's the only part that makes me wonder, is that just a normal pedal? But I've posted on Facebook and several of you said, oh no, that's not normal. And of course a bunch of you, said, oh, you need a master cylinder or whatever. I mean, obviously you could also have a brake leak somewhere, but that's not the case, because if that was the case, my brake fluid would be going down, I'd see it on the ground, whatever. There's no fluid loss at all. The master cylinder stays full. I guess the other thing is, it's hypothetically possible a master cylinder that I got, the new one, happened to be defective in the exact same way as the old one was. I mean, hypothetically, that could be the case, but I don't know really how you would check that out, short of buying yet another one and putting it in. That's what I'm going to do. That's kind of an update for now. We will see. I'll try to do a separate video on the D7 scan tool. I think it's a pretty neat tool. I really think if you have your own shop, let alone just being a DIY guy like me, I think you could run an independent car shop off of that tool. It's got so many different brand specific routines and so forth, and like I said, it's bi-directional, so you can run like the ABS bleeds and stuff. The other thing is, it has the option to sync like the ignition keys and stuff. Now for some makes and models, you may have to buy an optional component for that. I think they call it the EEPROM reader or writer, one of the two, but I didn't need that for my particular usage, so I didn't buy that, because it's like a $600 extra component. But if I ever had my own shop to where I was treating customer, that would probably pay for itself, and just being able to make them keys that work or whatever. Because nowadays all these computerized components in cars are just a royal pain compared to the older, less electronic cars. So anyway, hope that was enjoyable, maybe a little educational, and I will see you in the next video.